Yeah, it's all right on tape as long as it's not enough to tape. Well, for the moment. I was heard by the grapevine again that Don Smith had taken a poll. So I called him and I asked him what the poll was. He says, fine. He says, I'm going to release it either tomorrow or Monday. But I'd appreciate you don't spread it to the papers before then. So he said his poll indicated, and he says it's about 218, and he sent out quite a few more than that, but 218 replies. His poll indicated that inside the city, 80 some odd percent favor. Outside of the charter, outside the city, but and in the borough, 76% favor. In Eagle River Shugiak, it was, he said, a very small percentage. He says 100% of those that have read the charter in Shugiak are in favor of it. And he says 100% is one person.
Oh, for God's sake.
But he said there was replies to about 9 or 10 of his questionnaires out there, and 54 or 5% were against the charter, 34% could care less, and then this one in favor. And so his poll was more extensive, but this was just what affected the charter. It had other things in it he didn't tell me about. But I thought you'd all be interested in knowing what he was discovering out.
How did he say what kind of a cross section he represented?
All right, his poll represented. He went to the voters list, and he told them to take one person off each page of the voters list across the borough, and pick anybody, male, female, but just pick one that had a consistent voting record. So he's basically talking to just people who really go to the polls and are proud of the fact that they're there every time. And he says there was, I'm not sure, I think he said 1,200 sent out, 218 replies or something like that. And only 10 replies from Eagle River, Shugiak area. So that's not a very fair sampling out there. Probably representative, but it's not a big sampling. And he said he had also asked if they had read the charter, and he found that 34% had said they had read the charter.
So it's 22.
I don't believe it.
Oh, 34% of the respondents.
Yeah, for a group.
For a biased group by the very nature of it.
They go out and vote every time. They're the type of people like
But that means they would label him as Jolly Even if he's got a 25% error.
Yeah. That's still pretty substantial number, and those are people that will be talking to others if they approve while they'll be talking to others. So, having heard this stuff, I asked Patty to check the circulation of the Times in Eagle River, and she found that it had about 3,100 circulation there, and I asked her also to check with Lee Jordan what it would cost to have him spread the charter with his paper, the insert, and that's 3 cents a copy, and it's he has a circulation around 1,850. So
Would he let us use his?
oh yeah, that's a business. You know, he has much choice in the first place. In the second place, that would be a beautiful deal if he refused. Oh, geez. Come out and say, we have attempted to circulate it, and you know, a very nice letter to the editor or something. We attempted to circulate it, and then Mr. Jordan refused to allow the charter to be circulated through his paper, you know, so that was horrible.
Not a dirty movie.
He couldn't do anything but circulate it, I say. So anyway, he said that was 3 cents a copy, right?
Yes.
That'd be cheap, you
He
know.
said actually about 250 of those copies are mailed out of the state, and so he would figure there's about 1,600 copies. And at 3 cents is $48.
God, best advertising we've had.
Yeah, so I told Patty to go ahead. Try to.
What does he do? He just takes the plates set up by the Times?
No,
No,
what
he'll
they
just
do,
take the inserts that
take
we
the
have.
inserts that we already have.
Oh, I see.
Just
Just deduct them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Interesting.
And
Well,
just-
sure, whiz, mighty, do it.
Yeah. So,
Sorted.
well, those things I wanted to get out of the way just in case somebody show up here. But I don't want to breach your faith that.
We should stamp in red to Eagle River resident on the front, right in the middle of the thing.
Let's do it. I think, why not?
We've got until next Tuesday. He said he
You could
doesn't,
stamp it.
well, until
Special,
Thursday. He
special
needs
Eagle River
to
edition.
know by Tuesday if they're
Let's
going
do it.
out, but he doesn't need the
Eagle River,
actual.
yeah, Cedar Street.
Not out in the quarter inch.
I think that's great. I just think that if we could put something on the front that says Eagle River, that would be nicer. I don't know.
Special Eagle River copies. Special copies for Eagle River.
To you,
Stamp on
Ramos,
legislative
Woodrow.
copies, courtesy of Garen with a PNA or something.
Now, okay, so ordered tomorrow morning. We'll get something.
Well, what are you guys talking about?
Stamp on the front to Eagle River Chibiac residents.
Personal copy,
Courtesy.
courtesy of the Charter Commission. Frank Reed, Chairman.
Still.
Huh?
Et al.
That's good.
I could just put
You like
Eagle
that,
River
yeah?
on the front, that's not
Hey,
bad.
that tickles pretty good.
Reed's Raiders.
That's good.
Reed's Raiders.
That's pretty good.
Harry said she'd be late. She has 2 other meetings.
That's good.
I told her there were more votes in the other meetings than here.
What meeting is he going to?
Community school meeting and what's she planning? Plan of the commission. I suspect for, she still talk later, but I suspect.
All right, well, are we
You
on the
think she's gonna go, Mayor?
Yes.
The
No, she's not. I don't think so.
roll call, Jane Angby,
I'm present.
Fred Shy,
Yeah.
Dick Fisher, Mary
I
Froney,
called her last night.
Sherry Hall,
She's going mayor.
Joe Joseph.
Talked to her last night.
Here.
Lisa Parker, Jim Parsons,
Here.
and Frank Reed here, Bill Sheffield, and Arliss Sturgill-Lewski not here. We have approval of the minutes for the regular meetings of July 8th and distribution of minutes for regular meetings of July 10th
I'll
and
let Ted
15th.
make the motion. He's got the-
Move for the approval of minutes July 8th.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Moved by Lisa, seconded by Jane. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, so ordered. And you have the meetings of 10th, 15th, 4th. Review and approval next week. No appearance request. And we'll ask the Public Information Committee to report under unfinished business.
Public Information Committee is happy to report that we've been busy this week, and next Tuesday night, we need the support of everybody in this room to come over to Lucy Cuddy Center at the university and mingle with
Which,
people of Anchorage.
which building is the Lucy Cuddy Center? Is that
Here, it's the cafeteria.
What time is that, Jane?
the center building that they
Needs to be there
have
by 7.
that feeds in? Yeah, towards
Okay.
the back.
You know, the administration buildings, the little
Yeah.
schoolhouses, it's at the end of that, the first building that's north.
Kind of north and in the center.
At what time?
Starts at 7:30. Please be there by 7 if you aren't on the TV thing before. And if you're on the TV thing before, you can be there at 7:15.
Unfortunately, I have a consul appearance for bank business on a deal that's been pending for some little time. And they have specifically requested that I appear rather than somebody else.
It's a plot. It's a plot.
Thickening plot.
Okay.
Well,
Rick, can you assist Mary for just a minute? She's giving me a legal issue to relate to you, and I want to make sure you understand what she's saying.
Now what has she got in there?
God bless you, my child. Go in peace. Now, the things that are going to be happening on that Tuesday night meeting are that we have, at this point, invited a random sample of people who were drawn from the Rowan survey who have agreed to come and participate. And we'll be doing some advertising this weekend and through the papers and hopefully cut some tapes for radio where we encourage people to come to public meetings.
We don't have live TV on 7?
now you all come.
Yeah, that's later.
Yeah, you got it.
Like,
The night.
This one is going to be videotaped.
They did a good job on that.
okay,
Okay, this one is going to be videotaped and hopefully can be used by the stations as we edit it for questions and answers as
We
they
have some
come in.
good answers out.
Great, so get your sharpest answers out. Now, the context that we're going to operate in is, since Frank is going to be there, we'll let Joe start off by being vice chairman and telling the people that the quickie background.
extra charges.
We got elected, we wrote a charter, this is what it is, and we're here tonight to talk to you about it. That kind of thing. The format is going to be, we'll go into small groups almost immediately. Is that a question?
Joe?
Is that a question? I don't remember. What did I say?
That was the old
When you do that, if you can try to get the words across
The
that
slides from Howard
the
stuff?
deadline set for the charter
So we were going to
production and everything
generally
else
what
have
is
been our
government
own
first, come
deadlines.
back, begin to slide.
There are deadlines that we set for ourselves to accomplish the job.
My notes indicated that it would go from him straight to you.
I've heard a little bit of
And then you have to
set
slide
this deal up type thing.
just to set the pace so they understand what
But the dates that we have operated on, our timetable is our timetable, not any arbitrarily imposed by anyone else.
Either by law or by some politician out.
I sent
It's our own clever manipulation.
Oh,
they think that George or Jack or somebody
Did it for some reason.
I got you.
And
So
why?
it's going to start with an introduction from Joe, and then go into the small group.
No, I just was reminded by my sidekick what we were doing. There'll be about a 10-minute run-through of the slides that we've been using on the TV, along with the same kind of script to display, and it won't take 10 minutes, some of the things that have been included in the charter related to certain issues.
responsiveness tax.
Who's narrating?
Live
Yeah. Huh?
marriage.
Yeah. Okay. Then we will get into the small groups, and I would ask that each of the commissioners be sitting with one group of people. And the questions that we start out with is, there are two kind of general questions about government, and they say things like, what are the things that are most difficult for you to deal with in dealing with local government? Just general broad ideas, and we don't want to take pot shots at the borough, we don't want to take pot shots at the city, but what are your frustrations in relation to government in general? And how should it be? So that we're talking about how they're feeling about government in general first. Then if you had, options, what would be the things that you would be able to do with your local government. So again, we're talking about something kind of general. And then get into specific issues about how the charter does or doesn't respond to the issues that they've brought up related to how they feel about government. Within each group, there has to be the first job you have to do is sit down and get everybody to introduce themselves to each other, so at least you've got names, and we'll have name tags and numbers, and it should work smoothly as far as people just sitting down into groups and having a name at least. And then someone within the group has to be designated as the note taker, and we'll get easels and notepads and felt tip pens, and so we've got some big charts, and as salient points come up within the group, then the note taker, who is not one of the commissioners but a person who's present, will go through the process of recording what's going on within that small group discussion. Then everybody comes back from small group discussion and relates to one another about how they feel about government, what things they want, and how the charter relates to the questions that they've raised. At that time, we can also open it up for any questions that the group has as a whole of specific commissioners or the commission as a whole, but will stay seated at tables around, and there won't be any big front format kind of screen.
Set up your individual tables.
Yeah.
Presumably 10 tables, I'll be watching at home or something.
That won't be televised. We're just going to videotape it and try and edit the tape so that we can provide the media with some other information as time goes on.
I did ask them, if possible, to schedule it at 4 o'clock. There's a 4 o'clock council meeting, I understand. They said they didn't think they could, but they would try. The other thing is that I asked them to do, if they couldn't do that, to schedule me first on the agenda at 7:30. So I'll get there as quickly as I can. Not that it makes any difference, but other than the president.
7:30.
And some of those are on TV earlier.
Are you on TV?
Yes, Joe's one of those.
What time? 6?
6:30.
So I go right
6:30 to
to
7.
So that's right.
Patty, would you please call all the commissioners on Monday and remind them?
When is the workshop over with?
It should probably be over around 9:30 or 10. But the purpose again is to generate some conversation with people, with each other, and I would say the first part, we shouldn't be doing too much lecturing. It's mostly, posing the question and listening to some kind of response.
Joel doing.
You'll all have outlines at each group. And then the second part will probably be answering specific questions related to the charter. Anything else on that?
I'm just wondering if you'd like to have some kind of a get-together Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning to go over questions, or you just want to wing it and go in.
No, I don't think that. I don't think it's fair to ask the whole commission to meet on Monday in preparation for that, only because if we get there by 6 or 6:30 or 7, not everybody will be on TV.
Okay, there are a
The
couple.
questions, don't you have the questions now? Now that you gave to the public?
Yeah. Those are really just us,
Coach Carlos. Where have you been? All right.
Out drinking. Okay.
Here, pass.
This is a note that went out to the people who had said that they would participate, and it's for me, and it tells them the time and the place again, and confirms that they're going to do. Some of the questions are, what are your major concerns in dealing with government? What are your major frustrations? How do you want it to serve you? What ideas would you like implemented in a new government? What suggestions do you think would be good for the mayor's plan for the new administration? So that right at the bat, we're getting off the hot potato of do you like the charter or don't you like the charter, and starting people to talk about how they feel government should be. And that's generally the tone of the discussion. I will turn over the rest to Pat to report on other things that are going on.
We've got 3,000 of these flyers out into the community, to the community councils, community schools, 850 to the Halo group. We've made 84 telephone calls to the group that Jane had talked about, and have mailed packets to those 84 people who have said they're interested in coming to the workshop. The packets include this overview here, and they include a copy of the charter, and they include a copy of the flyer, inviting them to the workshop on Tuesday night. We're hoping to work with 2 cameras, 2 video taping cameras, which will try and catch the dialogue at each of the tables back and forth. And we hope to edit that and release that to the radio and TV stations for public service for Newtown.
Little bits or edited program or
Well, in our conversations with all the stations, they said they would air whatever we can provide them with. If we've got 4 or 5 minute segments, they'll air them with the news. If we've got a good half-hour show, they can probably squeeze out in 2, but it depends on what we end up with.
What's worth viewing, not as based on a selection for impact, advocacy selection. Right.
As
Not
I understand
advocacy,
it,
no
it's
information.
also wherever you can get a dialogue going where there's a point raised and people are concerned about something and there's some kind of a response given, or maybe a moderator would come in at that point and say, you know, if this is one of your major concerns, this is the way the people in your community have reacted to this now. This is what they were talking about. Is this the same kind of thing you're interested in? Talking to the viewing public.
And here's how the charter answers that.
I just wonder, you know, we've been through quite a series of this with the Capital Site Selection Committee. I'm wondering at how these groups are going to be just to come in on them. You're not going to get any kind of summing up, it seems to me. And have you talked over with your people who do this to see if you really would get some meat out of this kind of general dialogue that's going on, just people talking? In a way, I thought what you might do was to perhaps develop a spokesman for a group, but you won't, in a sense, be looking for any consensus or
No, I was,
feeling.
there'll be a series of questions we would like to address in
Yeah, I've seen
conversation
this.
to, and then, no. And then each group will report and come back to the whole to see if we can achieve any kind of major concern that's equated about what their major concerns are about government and
Yeah, but will you be filming the reporting, or will you
Both.
be filming the other?
Both.
Both. Yeah, you might likely get more out of that, you
The
know.
reporting
report,
section?
I would think.
Probably, you're right. I think as long as we can develop the capability to do the small groups also, we might see if there's anything that comes out of that.
Then
You mentioned receiving some back already without any answer.
I think somebody's dropped a whole packet of those brochures in your mailbox. I've got 4 blank ones returned today. Frank suggested that maybe that was an indication they were coming to attend the workshop, which very well might
You
be.
know, maybe they didn't want to bother to fill out. You invited them to something, and they just said, all right, we'll come, we're coming.
Yeah, and they just dropped
I'll
it
be
in.
back tomorrow.
I don't have a copy. It's the flyer that we had you're invited to the charter community workshop.
What else would you like to
Okay.
support?
There's excuse me a minute. There's a wealth of calendar information here, starting with Monday, where Joe and Rick confirmed to speak to the Bar Association at noon at the Elks Club. If I go too fast, holler. Tuesday, Channel
That's today, or tomorrow?
Monday, Bar Association.
At noon.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have people come and watch?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's, when you get to the coat rack, turn right. I think you probably enter there. Is that right, Rick? Rather than going through the door where the card's needed?
Or is that
Yeah, probably.
See, I think it's
Tuesday the 12th is the workshop. And that's,
Cynical bunch.
I'm sorry, it's Channel 13. And that's Jane and Lisa and Joe and Jim.
No, I'm not on.
You're not?
I thought we were only gonna have 3.
Take me off.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're
No,
right.
you're better.
I may have filed by Tuesday.
Oh,
Well, let's
You have to file by Friday.
leave it in limbo here.
That would also be by Tuesday.
Yeah, it would be.
You have to file by tomorrow.
Joe's not filed.
Well, in any event, we'll wing it, whatever comes up.
Okay.
And that's on
Well,
growth in government, and they're working on the script and they're working on the sketches now. On the 13th, I would appreciate,
Wednesday.
the 13th is a Wednesday, I would appreciate 2 early risers for the early risers at 7 a.m. at Peggy's Airport Cafe.
Come on.
They're upstairs and I'll be
Yes.
downstairs.
What day?
7 a.m. Wednesday, the 13th. Will you?
Who was this now?
The early risers.
Early riser Kiwanis.
I'll go over here. It's a small,
Okay, Joe and Lisa.
friendly.
Good,
Outspoken to.
okay.
Can't talk to them.
What are they, the early risers, what?
Hawaiian.
Kiwanis? Good, thank you.
But they're cheerful and they do dumb things.
Okay,
And 7.
They act like lions.
Yeah.
okay.
Great. They stand like.
The next day is Thursday and the 14th, and Fred and Mary are scheduled for the Halo group,
What's this real estate in there?
Fred and Mary.
and they're going to give us the location when I phone back with the name.
You're not doing a real estate thing on Wednesday.
and that,
Now, why do I have real estate down on the 13th?
Because we're capital citing at the real estate. I don't know, Joe.
better check it out than that
Oh,
tomorrow.
it's something I wrote down from here. I'm going to do a comment.
Oh,
It's all right. It's just my own confusion.
Our real estate's later.
well, that takes us through next week.
What is?
Real estate.
What Friday, and then let's,
Hang on, I'm still on Thursday.
oh,
Thursday night next week, if the commission would so choose, we'll meet in Eagle River.
What do you mean it was so choose?
Well, I don't know if
We've
you want to be
already
here,
arranged.
do your business, adjourn and go there,
we've
or if
already
you want to
arranged
go
to be
there.
Well, they're having a meeting on the charter, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Be there.
I'm wondering about your meeting. Do you want to hold a meeting here and go there, or hold your
No,
meeting?
no, that'll be our meeting out there.
Will it? Okay.
When is the Halo group meeting? I missed that. What time is it?
Thursday at 7:30 p.m.
And what time is Eagle River?
7:30.
I have a question. If both Fred and
Fred and Mary. Good. Fred and Mary have both signed up, well, that's fine, they're out there.
They neutralize.
The Eagle River one is at the Chugiak Methodist Church.
Now, where is that located?
Okay, you go out to the turnoff for Chugiak High, instead of turning left to Chugiak High, turn right and go up to the old highway. Turn left, and go a quarter of a mile. And you're
Right.
there.
At Shubiak Highway,
Chugiak High School,
High School.
turn up.
Go right, and then go to the old highway,
You
and
just
go
jump
which
over
direction?
Turn left and go
Then
forward.
turn left.
So, but
A quarter of a
And it's
mile,
on the left-hand side of the
and
road.
left again. Oh, all right, wait a minute.
all right.
And the thought there, which was very interesting, she said that she's found that it's much more reasonable to hold these kinds of meetings in the church because the people seem to respond more
She's never
favorably.
attended one that the Charter Commission had. We have reasonable meetings.
Natalie Brooks
We're such reasonable people.
Yeah.
They say she does, I've talked to Glenn Briggs, she does a
supposed to be
very,
very good.
very nice job. and
She'll keep it on an informational
What's her
approach.
name?
Natalie Brooks.
She was at
What's
the
her
hearing
position
this
before?
Glenn talked to her, she just is kind of concerned about the whole issue and feels people need to be informed. I
Natalie
suspect she's
Brooks.
probably a pro-unification.
Now,
I'm not positive of that, but I,
Pat, do you have much more? Don has been good enough to come all the way down to, and brought his stuff.
We can do more later after
All right,
he's
fine.
through.
Why don't we?
hurry.
Well, Don, I don't want to hold you up anyway, and you're here, and there's, at the moment, there's no news here, so let's,
I'll just scoot over here.
good news, let's hear it, if it keep it
we've
from-
heard it. You were late, you know, so.
It's good news.
Oh, there's good news tonight, because I just had somebody stop me on the corner, and Arnold, you're out of your mind, you think that.
Do you see Bill Besser?
Listen to this.
Arch conservative.
Okay, now this survey that I conducted to mail out, so to qualify it, you have to understand that it went out to registered voters only, and it went out to registered voters that vote on a consistent basis, not just anybody that's on the list. That's the only criteria we use when we select names. We put it into three areas, three control areas: Section 6, the Spenard Muldoon Tudor area, and then the city. And I was able to pull out the Eagle River. Now, the Eagle River response has been awfully small, so consequently it's, I don't know how, I think it's fairly indicative of what they're thinking is out there, but it's such a small number you can't really tell. In the city, the city residents would indicate they favor 86%. With about 11% opposed, the balance either say it, well, as nobody said it doesn't matter, but no opinion. In the, what would be the Spenard Muldoon Tudor area, it's 76% or 76.6% favor, with 21.6 opposed, and again, then a real small percentage say it doesn't matter. The area, Sand Lake and the hillside, shows 76.3% with 14.4 opposed, and then there's roughly 4% say it doesn't matter, and 5% have no opinion or disagree with comment. So
That's only if we have single-member districts, isn't it?
no, I'll tell you, single-member districts isn't all that exciting to people out that way.
What was Sand Lake?
Is that right, Don?
That's what the Halo people say about it.
What was, for Sand Lake 73?
Yeah, the Sand Lake hillside area was favored at 76.3 according to this,
76.
with 14.4. Now, the largest area of opposition is in the Spenard Muldoon Tudor, area. 21% say that they're opposed. Leave it things like they are. Now, I did one other thing. I went back and I had a question where I asked people if they'd read the charter, and it turned out, let's see, roughly 35% have read the charter. Now, at that point.
That's kind of amazing.
And this reflects attitudes as of about the 1st of August, so that,
You have to discount a little bit for a lie factor.
well, there's a lie factor, I'm sure, in there at some point. Now, then I went back thinking, well, maybe if people have read the charter, they'll have a different attitude. Maybe it'll change things. So it really doesn't really change things very much. People living outside the city, it went from, what, 70... The average for the outside area was 76.4%. It went up to 80% when they read the charter. And 87.5% said they favored it in the city. And out of the 9 people from Eagle River that responded to the survey, one person read the charter and he was in favor of it. So I don't think you can draw anything out of it.
100%.
That's 100% that have read it in Eagle River. The people that haven't read it in Eagle River don't want it or don't care.
Now, that's probably a terrible thing to ask you, but how do you feel about that?
Well, you know, I tried to qualify it when I first, told you the results, that it's a conservative, older person. Now, there's no kids in here, there's no 19-year-olds or anything like that reflected in this survey. And
Seems like
so,
A 20-year-old here,
yeah,
that'd be more prone
more or less.
it's like,
to support.
yeah. These are your people that get out and vote, consistently. They've shown up at the general elections, the primary elections the last couple of times in the state races and have voted. And that's the only thing we use. We don't try to pick names, for any other reason
How
except
large a sample, though?
we mailed out 1,225 questionnaires. We've got about 100, I don't have a count here, maybe I do. We've got 100, almost 150 back as bad addresses. And then so as best we can tell, 1,072 questionnaires went out. That was reached somebody that was sent to. And out of that, 218 came back, or a response of 20%.
Which is fairly good.
You bet, because
Out of that, how many?
20%. Now, I don't have even a copy of the questionnaire, but it's 6 pages of material. It's everything from
Really?
what's your favorite soda pop to, vacation,
Oh, your mother's
all kinds
grandmother's.
of stuff. Yeah, there's really a lot of material.
Did you ask about the greatest benefits or anxieties they have?
I didn't get into anything else on unification. Just simply
You
asked.
mentioned they had single-member districts. How do you, is that just?
Oh, yeah. Well, to be honest, now I really haven't tabulated that thing finally. I went through one time here a couple days ago, and there's no great shakes for that. It's, it might be running 55-45 or 60-40, I think my guess, in favor of multi-districts in the outside area. And everybody answered it, but there's no overwhelming big desire for single-member districts out there that I can tell.
Oh,
Interesting.
encouraging.
The other thing you might be
Listen
interested
to me,
in,
I've been telling you.
on a scale of rating the city and the borough from very good to very poor, the city rated adequate, which is right in the middle, just a smidgen above the mid-mark.
How many?
And the borough rated poor. It's 5 categories. It was, very good, good, adequate, poor, very poor. So the borough came out on poor on the scale. And
Is this
the city
for
came out
everybody?
adequate. Yeah, everybody marked it. And I haven't gone through and tried to break it out as to, the city people are obviously really,
You hear that, Lisa?
but I don't think there's anything else. The ratio of men to women responding was about 50-50. I asked people to indicate their partisanship, and 47% said they were independents, and then it was an even balance between Republicans and Democrats, which it should be a little heavier Democrat, so that it's out of skew a little bit.
Very responsible people.
They tend to respond to surveys a little more than Democrats.
The implication was that they were.
But other than that, I don't.
Any others?
Well, as long as the press is near, I'm going to release this in a couple of days, but things like 35% have ridden on the bike trails and 27% have ridden on the people mover, and
All kinds of neat stuff, huh?
80% were unhappy with the pay increase passed by the legislature. And 25% of the Republicans have switched their vote from Hammond to somebody else and didn't vote again today.
What percent?
Thank you.
Oh.
You left Frank in the light.
Well, Don, we
Did we?
certainly appreciate your letting us know about them.
I didn't know you were meeting tonight, or I would made arrangements, you know, I appreciate your call, because I didn't want to keep it a secret, but I've been waiting to release, you know, until I get all finally tabbed, and I can even this one up, you know, right on as soon as I get my questionnaires back.
Well, certainly it's encouraging, the way it is to me. And we're talking about circulating our charter through the Star out there, and it's a real reasonable cost, and we're going to do it.
Well, thanks, Don.
Thanks much for being here and for letting us in on what you found out. All right, Matt, did you have something, Trevor?
Yes, I do.
Sorry.
Just, you got the thing.
How much more do you have, Pat?
6 minutes.
Okay, fire away.
I need Arliss's suggestion here. Phyllis Chamberlain's program on the 3-day spread, you know, that you did at 13.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we have scheduled for 18, 19, and 20. And I'm wondering if you think we should do a 2, 2, and 2 on that, or should we just do the same 2 for all 3 mornings?
Well, you know, the way she taped us, and boy, I went around with it. That Channel 13 has got to have the brightest lights in the world.
Indeed.
And we did a 3/4 hour that we sat there, you know, to get
To get
these
all 3
segments,
programs,
and
yeah.
it really was very difficult, but you got into it. You needed to bring a change of clothes because you don't, you know. I personally feel if you could break that up, maybe even have, if you want, say do 2 segments, say beginning and end, and intersperse it with one. But you know, it could go
Okay.
either way.
That's good.
She's, I think she's into the charter, and probably she's pretty sharp interviewer and easy to work with.
She's clever.
So I'll need names
Yeah.
for those programs. Those are the 18th, 19th, and 20th. And if I'm not mistaken, it's done at 9 in the morning. Is that when she does
Oh,
her
we
taping?
were there early, yeah, and well, then we had to wait till after the show. You'd have to run that by her. It seemed to me we're out there just shortly after 11 o'clock.
Okay, so it's about a 2-hour commitment.
Yeah, because you have
Usually
to wait
on
to see what their studio time is.
tape. Okay, so we've got a week to work on that for names, but I just want you to know about that.
The 14th?
No,
18, 19, 20. Yeah.
But she tapes it all in one morning.
And
Who's going to do it?
Well, that's what I need. I need some names from all of you on who would like to do it, who we can put on.
What?
Free.
What?
It's a 15-minute segment each day on the 18th, 19th, and 20th, an interview. But all the taping is done the very first day. First day's live, and then she stays around to tape the other 2 that very same morning.
You don't know yet.
He doesn't know yet. Ask him tomorrow night at 5:30.
My understanding is you have just a Johnny Carson image on the television.
Johnny Carson.
Johnny Carson image.
That's a racer.
Yes, he is.
So maybe if you aren't a candidate, you might be a good person to do that if you've got the time. And I heard you were marvelous.
You didn't see me.
You all did.
I do.
I've got a week to gather names.
And we better use our personalities, not our personalities.
Okay, so
Well,
we've
we
got
think-
tentative with Jim and Arliss.
Is that on I think I'm going to Bethel.
Oh, are you? On the 18th? Yes, you're right. You will be. That's right. Joe, are you available at all to do that taping on a Monday on the 18th? Jane? Okay. Anybody else? We need another, let's see, Jim, Joe. She goes in twos, doesn't she?
Yeah, 2 I think would work out.
Okay.
Sherry will be back.
Oh, that's right. Lisa, you don't know how tight your schedule will be.
I thought it went better this Tuesday night with 3 rather than 4.
I think so too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't think
Okay. We have a tentative preface program on the 20th for the press club.
What is that?
It's just an overview of where we are.
I mean, a preface? What is a preface?
Well, that means the main part of the program goes to something else.
I talked to Dave Harbour at the cocktail party tonight, and he said we're trying.
Was Dave Harbour in town tonight?
Yeah,
You shouldn't have said that.
why not?
He was supposed to be somewhere else.
He's
Some trouble.
trouble.
Right here in Rivers.
He was there.
I'm not going to tell you. I thought
Anyway, he said,
I didn't get to a car.
he said that all he really wanted, and he hoped we didn't mind, was just a quick review, 2 or 3 minutes. So where we stand, what were the observations we have, and not any longer, because he had another program to go follow.
noon.
He had
Are
noon.
they going to give us a program?
Can't we? Yeah, that's the question.
Are they going to give us a program before the night?
I think not.
Did you ask for one?
We talked about it, and the general feel is the board feels that they all, some way or other, have covered it in some manner or fashion.
Somewhere else.
Well, how about if we set it up with the debate with Lee Jordan or somebody?
With Benny Leonard.
Not get into that.
Something you'll have to resolve.
You're only going to lose by debate, in my estimation. I don't know about Joe, what do you think about it from a political angle? That's my
Yeah, we're coasting, and any debate opportunity that we
There's an
provide
opportunity the other side to carry it out.
are diluting our force. They're sharing us. We're in the
Okay,
captain
who's going to take the press club? Preface.
I'll go if somebody
Great.
else does. You want to go?
No, you go.
Whatever.
I don't know why, but I had Joe written in here.
Well, Joe,
No, that's all right.
doesn't matter.
The book though.
Okay?
I'd be glad to
You
hit the
only
news
got 2
luncheon
minutes.
circuits if you've got any of those.
2
We
minutes.
only got 2
Where?
minutes.
It's a short program, press club, 20.
Because it's a prelude to another program. And all
Oh,
that
Bolshoi.
Okay.
I said Bolshoi,
On the 21st, which
which is a Russian expletive.
is 8 a.m., is the Home Builders Association of the Captain Cook.
Which day? I'm sorry.
On the 21st. And we used 2 there.
I'll tentatively take that one. What's the 21st? What day?
Well, I'm thinking it might be a
What about
Thursday.
Thursday?
Yep.
Today is the 7th.
Okay. Lisa?
Yeah.
Okay. Arliss and Lisa, have you 2 been,
No, never done the job.
okay, have you been opposite sides in some of the voting patterns?
Frequently.
Good. We have a good show then. Okay. 8:15 on the 27th, Board of Realtors. We need 2 people there at the Sheffield House in the morning at 8:15.
Lisa, I thought you wanted the realtors. Home builders. Okay.
Okay.
You said what? The Endeavor Room?
I can fill in some more of these later on if you'd like.
Well, I think we're far enough along now. We can catch it, a
What
week.
was the 21st? Where was that, the old Captain Cook?
21st was 8 a.m. at the Captain Cook.
I noticed
Home
that.
Builders
I noticed that
Association.
headline.
Where, Captain Cook?
Well, it'll be on the board. They don't have a room just yet.
Times likes me.
The
The,
realtor is this, the Captain, I'm sorry.
Arliss, on the 27th, the League of Women Voters would like you and Sherry and Jim and Fred.
Right.
Who, where?
Fred,
I beg pardon?
on the 27th, the League of Women Voters at night at 7:30 would like you and
I love women.
Jim and Arliss and Sherry
27th, League of Women Voters.
at the Friendship Room at Northern Commercial.
Did they ask for those people?
I don't think I'll be there.
That's kind of an interesting
How come?
combination. isn't it?
Arliss, Jim, Sherry, and who?
Not me.
Good.
Where are you going?
Arliss, Sherry, Jim,
Fred
Chicago,
Chicago.
Fred. Okay,
27th.
Jim's out, then how about Frank or Joe?
What, the 27th?
Night of the 27th,
Those are
At
friendly.
what time?
7:30.
Yeah, I could go with.
Is that all right?
I'll fill in.
Okay.
How come they ask for those? They didn't say.
Did you have something just prior to that that was at the book?
Yes, 21st is 8 in the morning is Home Builders Association.
Was that the,
Where the
It would be
realtors
awfully
meeting on
helpful
Wednesday?
on these, Pat, if you get some idea of how long they, what their normal schedule program is.
Okay, most of these run on part of the commission.
About 20 minutes.
Yeah. And then Q&A after. Okay, yes.
Excuse me, on the 27th, Wednesday, the Board of Realtors, where?
8:15 Sheffield House. That's in the morning.
AM that is.
Right. Yeah. Our graphics guy is off and running again. He was mentioned on the TV the other night, and he was on the telephone the first thing the next morning telling us how pleased he was. So we've got him working again in addition to the final graphics. He's going to paste up everything so we'll have a working chart come midweek. And he's going to do a sign for the building which says Charter Commission on it. Maybe vote September 9th.
Be here.
And let me see. I just want to thank Lisa and Jim for their Theta Comstock appearance this week, and they did really well. And Lisa came chugging down there at the very last minute. We were able to get her out, come over.
I had a terrible flash that I was going to be on loan with her for a half hour.
I'm sorry.
The Arliss, Fred,
It's fine, it worked fine.
the Arliss, Fred, and Bill show was exceptionally well received, and they say Fred and Bill made Arliss look really good. And Jim and Jane did a KANC thing last Saturday night on tape, which I'm not sure anyone heard.
Nobody
Quite know. We don't quite know what happened on that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody I know who heard it said it was great.
You lie through your teeth.
Everybody that I know who heard it.
You know anyone? I'm going home.
Okay, and that's end report.
All right. Thank you very much.
We were introduced to the station manager up there, and I said, yes, I heard you on opening day. And he said, you haven't listened since. And I said, I didn't say that. This is true. I listened to the sign on the station.
We have in our things.
You have to go on with Theta the Comstock.
Knock it off, James. We got this from Rick Garnett. He's going home pretty quick.
She's sharp.
What is it?
It's the commission commentary. This charter. We better get going over. We're going to get it out at all.
I went over it and I agreed with everything.
there's two editions, Arliss. One is Article 2, 9th paragraph, on the first page, And Article 9.11 is opposed.
And there's another matter relating to Mary's conversation that we can take up in a little while.
Okay, I had on this, section 1904, I think maybe Commissioner Thomas would say that it should not be unduly delayed. That's, his commentary here is this section does not state specifically when the mayor takes office after the September 9th election, as implied by a requirement that the mayor designate the time and place of the first assembly meeting. It is intended that the mayor take office immediately upon certification of his election. And I've added, I don't know whether this is well taken or not, but such designation of time and place shall not be unduly delayed.
You mean that the first assembly meeting shall be held as soon as reasonably practical after the certification?
Why don't we
Go through that
say,
again.
Well, go through what I was.
Such designation shall not, of time and place shall not be unduly delayed.
That bothers me, because that almost adds unduly, you know. I'd like to see more specific language. We added
The
that.
first assembly meeting shall be held not more than 3 days after the certification of the election, or some such thing.
It's the intent of the Charter Commission that
They had it right away.
yeah, they have it right away.
Yeah.
Not,
In
6
fact, we
weeks
say the
or,
next day.
Immediately upon, or the next day, or,
but we didn't say that.
no, but that's what we mean.
Yeah, so,
Okay, well, let me work out the wording of it, and I'll take it.
what do we use unduly or something else? The idea is, that's my comment.
Can we go through?
Let's go, if you don't mind, we might go through it
Item by item.
section by section, and of course, this is the time for anything that's emerged in your talks that seems to require clarification to be clarified.
I wonder if it'd be appropriate to move for approval as we go through.
Yeah, I think it would be.
I'll move for approval on Article 2.
For a second by Parsons. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I think it's a good statement because, you know, some people may try and use it as what it meant. I must say also that I think Joe, when he wrote this thing, was very careful in making sure that the statement in the Bill of Rights did not deviate from the substantive stuff. So I don't think there's a grave danger of that happening. But just to foreclose any possibility, I thought of this as a useful thing.
Goodbye. Article 2, now, look, all of you, if you read this damn charter and you found something that's not covered in the commentary, it's time to do it. You know, it's time to say something.
I'm not going to, anything to say. I'll move for approval of 2.9.
Second,
I think
Arliss?
we vote on the other one?
Yeah. All those in favor on Article 2? Those opposed? So ordered. Unanimous.
Did that also include 2.9?
Not 2.9. The motion came before the vote. There's a motion by Arliss, seconded by Jim, that we adopt Article 2.9 as submitted. Commission comments. Any further comment? Changes? All those in favor? Aye. I've heard one aye. All those opposed? I assume all others are opposed, is that right?
that's not right, Mr. Chairman.
You read the... Yeah, these are things that kind of
Ask for those.
And inherently, there has been some serious suggestion that we would foreclose collective bargaining, which astonished me, but nevertheless.
Who heard it? I sure did.
Well, it was IBEW stuff,
That we,
I've heard it. Have you heard it?
that we foreclosed collective bargaining by dint of the phrase
Personnel?
based on merit.
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
Let's see what they're saying.
Of course, the state has a merit system with collective bargaining.
Well, if you're fearful, you're fearful. I've heard
Does not say it has to take place, it doesn't.
it. Move for approval of 507D.
oh, we haven't, I didn't hear a affirmative vote.
Call it again, Mr.
Call a
Chairman.
vote
I'll
again.
call the vote again on Arliss's motion and Jim's second, that we approve the commission comments are submitted in Article 2.9.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So ordered. Hearing no opposition.
Move for approval of 507D with,
Second.
all right. I wonder if it would mean the same, Rick. I don't, the last sentence, if we just said the flexibility may be needed,
Yeah,
would that,
beautiful.
could we include that in the main motion?
No,
Rather than is needed, may be. Strike is and add the word
That would
may
be the, I don't think we want to say that it's necessarily a problem. I
agree.
personally don't think it should be a problem, but I realize that.
Is this saying that they can change their quorum?
Well, it already allows us. I think we discussed that and felt that that was the one reason we kept the, describing what a quorum was for the boards and commissions, to leave that flexibility. But I don't think, I wouldn't want to see us give any intent that it would, they should go around setting it less than a, say, a majority of the fully constituted membership.
Any other commissioners have comments? All those in favor of accepting section 507D?
Aye.
Those opposed? For the unanimous group.
Rick reads as
Section
well.
702B.
Move for approval.
Move for approval by Jim, second by
Second?
Arliss.
Sherry had this question, I think, that she raised. We didn't spell out what happens to the acting mayor once his status is in.
Is there any comment or
Question?
change? Question called. All those in favor of commission comment, section
Aye.
705? Those opposed? Section 801. Community council is envisioned primarily as a means of organized communication between the assembly and citizens at the neighborhood level. The function of supervising certain services at neighborhood level is lodged with service area boards in the manner now provided for under license statute.
Move for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I object to that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, well,
Well, you have an objection.
Well, I think the community council section. Supervision to a community council or to combine, if some way of doing that, a service area with a council, that they would be violating the intent of the charter
And that just, I mean, changes the meaning, I think, from one of complete latitude to a type of constraint.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know that this comment is necessary. I think there's some force in what Joe is saying. That my intention was just to make it clear that in watering down, so to speak, the community councils, we weren't deleting from the whole government that function of supervising services, but that
Yeah, we very
did move
clearly
on.
have spelled that out, and I think that's something we'll have to do in the selling, and I think it's very
Okay.
clear in the wording where some of those others.
As far as in the survey.
Yeah, we do
survey
state it
section.
very clearly that you can't handle it through board.
Then, is there a motion or we needed to?
I'm happy to withdraw the submission.
That's
So what
nice that I already
happens to
brought it
Jim?
out.
Yeah.
Back to
He
that.
had no second, died for lack of second.
I will move for approval of section 1002E.
Second?
Did we have a formal action on?
No, because there wasn't a second.
The motion died for lack of second and it was withdrawn by the,
It was not adopted.
Section 1002.8, this paragraph provides a conveyance of an interest in real property dedicated to public park or recreational purposes requires a majority vote of the people. Term dedicated is intended to indicate formal designation of the land in question for permanent or long-term park or recreational purposes. Land intended for ultimate use for some other purpose may be used in the interim for park or recreational purposes without triggering the election requirement of this paragraph.
To Sherry's point again, she was afraid that the governments would be reluctant to let us use for recreational purposes land that they were sooner or later going to build something on, for fear that they'd be locked into this special requirement.
Have no fear, they do it routinely.
What's that, Jim?
Refuse.
Take stuff that has been assumed to be parkland and use it for other purposes.
Yeah, but under
They've
this
done
thing, they
it over
couldn't do that
years.
without a vote. See, under
They
our
have.
charter. Well, but under the charter, they couldn't. That's what we're,
And then the point of this, as I see it,
The area where the Central Junior High School is an example. That was parkland at one time.
The Central Junior High?
Yeah.
Is that right? You belong,
what
member?
parkland was that? No,
It
you're
was
wrong.
considered to be parkland.
No, that was garbage dump.
you mean,
I was there when they were dumping there.
Not very much.
Yes, sir.
They have Kiwanis Easter egg rolls there,
Sorry,
sir.
fell apart.
Well, you two old timers.
Kiwanis Easter egg hunt was
That
held
did
there.
make a mark out of
Garbage
it.
dump.
Garbage dump.
Good place to get
That's what
out.
it was, a garbage
Question on the motion.
Same old location.
dump. Well, who made the motion?
Birch Park. was-
Sturgeluski.
I have a list
I
of the
can't
current.
spell it. Who seconded the motion?
I don't know.
Come on, Jim, you and
I'll
all need
second.
everyone else so far.
Okay, no, association. Is there any further discussion as to the wording or the intent of the commission commentaries?
It's really funny. Apparently, the former charter commission just couldn't restrain themselves. They wanted to comment up a storm, and they put it right into the charter itself. And this charter commission doesn't want to comment at all.
Because it's been beautiful, Larry.
We've done it already.
Man,
Is there any further discussion on section 1002.8? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing no opposition, so ordered.
Rick, I suspect if we were commenting at the same time we were writing, there'd be more comments.
Yeah.
A month later,
On to be.
Section 1306B, this provision is intended to afford the Assembly wide latitude in determining how municipal funds will actually be spent. This paragraph, combined with the definition of categories and appropriations, enables the Assembly to determine at the time the budget is enacted precisely which funds are subject to transfer by the mayor and which are not. If the assembly wishes to exercise particularly close fiscal control over an agency or department, it may budget with particularity. Conversely, if the assembly appropriates a lump sum to a particular agency, it is in effect authorizing the mayor to determine priorities for actual expenditures for that agency. Now, I have one comment to make, and that is, this doesn't relate to the appropriation of the school board.
Well, that's right. And the appropriation for the school board will be an appropriation, period.
For
And,
the whole budget, yeah, we discussed that.
and we say in the chapter itself that the school board can move things around within it.
Your explanation is almost longer than the truth.
Funny sentence.
Well, I agree. I thought that this concept was sufficiently novel and important that we ought to try to make it real clear.
I have
I move to approve the concept.
Motion to approve by Josephson, seconded by Parsons.
my concern is the first sentence. We will declare to report the assembly-wide latitude determining how municipal funds will actually be spent. It just strikes me that we are giving the assembly perhaps more power than is intended by Mark. It looks like they've got, by using the term wide latitude and how money is actually spent, it sounds to me like they can go on a binge, and I don't have anything to say about it. Now, that's not to say that what you're saying isn't accurate. I'm saying the tone of it isn't. It sounds like they're going to be able to spend freely and wildly any way they want to.
Well, okay, you could eliminate the first sentence without loss to the meaning, I guess. Strike the first sentence. I so move to strike the first sentence.
What are you going to say?
Strike the first
You
sentence.
know, I think that's a good comment.
Moved by Josephson, seconded by who?
I did, then no objection with the proviso of first sentence
Remove first sentence.
as part of the main motion.
The next,
All right, Jane, you had some further comments?
I don't like the word particularity
Oh, I think it,
because we use particular in the sentence above it
what does it mean?
and particular in the
I would
sentence below
suggest
it.
striking particularly.
Strike particularity and insert specificity.
Get rid of a little bit of particularity and let's get down to the nitty-gritty of specificity.
go from one to the other.
I was going to say, Jane, if you don't like the jingling duplication of particularity, strike
There are
the first,
three of them in two sentences.
strike the particularly in line 4 and leave particularity because that's central.
That's such a neat word.
To exercise,
Close, especially.
All right.
Wishes to exercise especially close control.
Or just close fiscal control.
That's good enough.
And lump sum to an agency.
budget with particularity.
What it means.
I don't like the idea that they can exercise close fiscal control over one agency and not over another. And again, it sounds like they can almost act in whim.
I
of who
submit
they-
that this is a re-argument of the issue which was before us when we enacted the provision. Because we do provide that the Assembly can exercise closer fiscal control over one agency than over another by dint of the way it budget appropriates the money.
Well, I would like to see the word especially before the word close, because the implication is that they don't have categories and they're being irresponsible.
You're not going to exercise.
And so
Okay.
I agree, it needs a qualifier. But
Especially.
Jane, I really think this gets into the whole thing of when the budget has gone against the Department of environmental quality or parks because they don't like somebody, you know, and then the public has a chance to come in and say, hey, you know, what are you doing to our...
It's not the budget that they're cutting in this instance, it's whether or not they're transferring money, unappropriated money from one to the other. Wrong?
Well,
Am I in the wrong place? Yeah.
Aren't we budgeting?
no, right, budget with particularity. Conversely, if the assembly appropriates lump sum to a particular agency, it is in effect authorizing the mayor to determine priorities for actual expenditures for that agency. So it wouldn't be transferred.
These are unencumbered money. This is what's left over.
We are talking about transfers of funds within a budget prior to the time it's been accrued.
These are not excess funds.
They are unencumbered funds, however, you're right, Jimmy,
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I no longer even recall the conversation about this article, and I have put it into the deepest recesses of my...
Well, you've taken on another trust altogether, you know, and I can understand the wash basin effect.
But, okay.
The wash basin line that we lost.
The motion as it stands now is to adopt section 1306B with striking the first sentence and changing the word particularly in the fourth line of the next page from to especially close fiscal control. Is there any other discussion or comment or changes?
Can I, yes, I have a couple. Seemed to me that the major discussion centered around the definition of the terms category and appropriation, which means they could define an appropriation as the whole thing or just a piece of it. And that the last two sentences, I personally don't like, and I can't tell you right now how I think that ought to be changed, because it implies,
Two sentences.
if the Assembly wishes to exercise especially close fiscal control of an agency requirement in the budget with particularity, conversely, if the Assembly appropriates a lump sum to a particular agency, is in effect authorizing the mayor. I can't. I'm confused, perhaps because we're saying the Assembly has one responsibility and they can give it to the mayor, and to me, we're crossing lines between legislating and administering, and I'm not clear on what
Well,
our
I'll
intent
try,
was.
Jane. Let's see if I can recall this to mind. As I recall, we talked about the instance of the Department of Environmental Quality, where, say, the Assembly was mad at it for some reason. We might be on one side or the other of that one, but posit a case where the Assembly is really dissatisfied with the conduct of the department, or a particular division within the department, say. At this stage of the game, apparently, it's only optional to cut the budget, the money appropriated to that whole department. Not only does that needlessly penalize the other aspects of the department, but it's useless in a sense because the mayor can just shift funds from another
They can't really
division
get to that area there.
that's right. They can't zero in on what they see as the waste, the problem. And what we're trying to do is let the Assembly give itself that kind of authority in the budgeting process.
In other words, it can be budget for bike trails, but not for airplane landing.
That's right. If it wanted to, it could say X dollars to the Department of Environmental Conservation, period. And the mayor would then have latitude to move funds around because that would be one appropriation. But if it's really concerned about how part of that thing is working, it can say Y dollars to the division of sump pumps, and, you know, $10 for sumps and $5 for pumps, and, you know.
What should be?
Do I make
Okay.
myself clear?
Yeah.
It's a good system.
Is there further discussion regarding this section? Motion as it now stands is to remove the first sentence and change it particularly to especially in the fourth line of the
He's a good mayor, he's gonna be careful about what he transfers. Next year he's gonna get it in the neck.
In the neck, in the budget neck.
Any further discussion?
Question?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. And section 1602, this section permits the sale of a utility to be instigated by initiative, but eliminates the requirement for a preliminary election to enact an ordinance proposing sale of the utility.
That's about as clear as mud.
Under this section, a valid initiative petition would go directly to a vote with 3/5 of the vote required for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I realize that the sharpness of the outline of these issues will have been blurred somewhat by the passage of time. What we were talking about, somebody wanted to make it clear.
That's your explanation, isn't it? It's our fault.
Our minds are blue. And we're all, can you imagine how somebody trying to read it?
Rick, would you mind explaining what we did?
If I can recall what we were trying to do, we talked about sale of utilities, and we said that it shall be by ordinance approved by 3/5. And somebody, I believe it was Mary, wanted to make sure that the utilities could be sold, or the move to sell them could be done by initiative. Now, gets to be a pretty fine point, because you enact an ordinance by an initiative. And technically, the fear that I'm trying to deal with here is that we would have to circulate petitions on an initiative that says there shall be an ordinance providing for sale of the...
And then you have to have another vote.
And then you'd have to have another election with a 3/5 majority to see whether that ordinance was going to be ratified or not. By this language, I'm trying to collapse those things into one election. Valid initiative petition goes to the voters once, 3/5 required to sell.
And they've sold it just like that?
Yeah.
No, they have required for permission to sell,
Yeah, they've authorized the sale.
authorized to sell.
10% can bring it up, but it requires a 3/5 majority vote of the public to
See,
sell.
yeah, and I want to remind you that this is stuff that's already in the charter. We're just trying to make it clear.
Well, wouldn't it be clearer to say something like, this section permits the sale of a utility to be instigated or to be started by initiative, period. An initiative petition can put the question of sale before the voters. Under this section, a valid initiative petition placed before the electorate requires 3/5 of the vote required for approval.
I don't know if that's... You were doing fine right up to one sentence.
This section permits the sale of a utility to be instigated or to
This
be
section
started.
permits the sale of the utility to be started by initiative, period. Any problem with that?
No.
Just forget and instigated you to be
Now
started.
that is an instigation.
Now, what's next?
This action would put the question before the voters.
Well, maybe you don't need it. Maybe you can just go right on to the last sentence. Under this section, a valid initiative petition would go directly to a vote on the question of sale.
Leave out under this section.
All right. A valid initiative petition would go directly to a vote on the question of the sale.
Then would go directly to the vote with 3/5 of the vote required for approval.
On the question of sale.
With 3/5
I wonder, approval of sale of the utility or something.
leave this.
Well, if you say we go directly to a vote on the question of sale with 3/5 of the vote required for approval, doesn't that get it?
I was texting about, would go directly to a vote, what?
On the question of
Oh,
sale.
I see, I didn't,
With 3/5 of the vote required for approval.
Period.
And you would end the first sentence, this
After the
second,
word initiative,
yeah.
and leave out everything in between. I think that's fine. This section permits the sale of a utility to be started by initiative, period. A valid initiative petition would go directly to a vote on the question of sale with 3/5 of the vote required for approval, period.
Mark, I move for approval.
I move to approve the comment as read.
Second.
Yeah.
Can it be sold through another?
No, I don't think so. I think so, yeah.
Well, if you have a,
I think it's all right. I mean, I don't think it changes the meaning. The sentence that you eliminated is the sentence that states the problem we're dealing with, but maybe we don't need to do that as long as we've stated the
the other in
solution.
the positive way.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further questions or comments?
It's clear that if you go the ordinance route, we still need 3/5 anyway, so you don't have to comment to that.
Right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So ordered.
This is something that Stan Erickson raised when he called me the night, maybe I'm getting ahead here. But he did point out that we did not say exactly when the mayor takes office and we should state it.
Do you think it's necessary to add that about designation not being unduly delayed or
Yeah, what do we
words to
say
that
about
effect?
that? Let's see.
Why don't we just simply say, it is intended that the mayor take office immediately upon certification of his election?
Also, it says the charter is effective immediately upon certification and gives him duties, which is another. Yeah.
I don't know that we have to describe all that stuff in the first sentence.
We do say that this assembly has to meet the day after it takes office. Right. Yeah, it's only the hour and the place that the mayor designates. So it's the day after the certification that all this, that this first meeting happens.
But what if the assembly is elected, but the mayor still has to go through a runoff?
Well, the assembly doesn't get certified until the mayor is certified. See, they take office when the
Well,
mayor
then is any of this,
Is it really necessary?
is it necessary?
Well, see, we say the assembly takes office upon certification of the election of the mayor, but we don't say that the mayor takes office upon the certification of his own election. Theoretically, the mayor could not take office till January 1 or something, and that was the kind of thing that Stan Erickson raised. I don't know. It hadn't occurred to me, but it is true we don't deal with it precisely.
But they can't take off, the assembly can't take off until there's a mayor in place
Yeah,
to designate the time.
And
That's
so if he is not, if he hasn't taken office, certification of election of the mayor, former governments are dissolved and the assembly takes office
It ain't writ right.
on the day after.
what a catchy phrase. Lee Jordan.
How do you spell Rit?
W-R-I-T.
Oh, yeah, that's really keen. Let's use that for a slogan.
Maybe like James said,
Logically, it fits together all right because of what you said about the necessity of the mayor being in office in order to designate where the. But what we're trying to do here is
make it clear, but that
Eliminate all vestiges of doubt and
this section.
Where is Lisa?
flipped out.
Telephone.
Wonderful.
I don't know. What do we do about this? Come.
As implied by the requirement that the mayor designate the time and place of the first assembly.
I really don't believe that there's anybody besides Dan Erickson who is confused about when the mayor takes office.
He said there were other people in City Hall that he's dealing with who were confused
Well,
about.
how about eliminating,
Kind of a reflection
wait a minute,
We were asked by Peter.
why not eliminate everything in that comment except that portion that says it is intended that the mayor will take office immediately upon certification of his election.
Okay.
Done.
I so
I'll
move.
go ahead. Anytime.
That doesn't answer.
We said the next day, after
You
certification.
need to clarify ipso facto.
I think that's fairly well implied. Not the ipso facto part.
And just period. Is there any
Who seconded the
motion?
motion? I thought Frank, you made it.
Anyone?
Joe, that's all we
I
can
did.
do.
I thought you did.
Okay, second. Jim?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So ordered. Section
Why can't
19.
bring me one, dear Jane? Now you toss in
There's
for
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Jane is
After those results that you brought us, Don, we might just well drink away. We don't have to
The only
worry.
drinking we did on the commission was right at the last, and we spilled champagne all over the board of AMU's
Oh, that was a nice
table.
thing to do.
Really got them up.
Section 1911.
Make Fred furious.
Were you all
Adoption of the charter does not ipso facto result in loss of any job or benefit of current employees.
Ipso facto?
However, it is expected that the total number of employees will be reduced through attrition within a relative short period of time after adoption of the charter. In addition, adoption of administrative code in accordance with section 1910 will eliminate unnecessary positions, further reducing the total number of employees. Any
Why did we
comment?
put this in here?
That's a risky statement.
Yeah, I read it and I was a little worried that it actually may be fanning a spark to this.
Yeah, it's gonna trigger a lot of problems.
Okay, fine, we're just responding to what we hear, and I just was hearing doubts about whether there were gonna be any employees eliminated.
I think we're better off we leave it out.
Well, whatever.
It's not explanatory.
What is the sense of the body?
Sense of the body is
Deleted by lack of action.
Deleted, but do I hear a motion?
I'll so move.
what?
What are you so moving?
No.
No, I've asked
The way we
you,
handled
what are
that
you so
before
moving?
was the matter
Delete
wasn't
it.
acted on.
No, it's up to us for action.
Okay.
Don't get carried away, Frank.
Well, I want to know what you're doing.
No.
He said he'd so move, I thought maybe he's moving.
So
for
move
adoption.
on.
Move along.
Oh, boy.
A little though.
Cheerios to handle. Good thing I know all about Robert's Rules of Order.
This is the one that always pains me.
Section 1914, paragraph A of this section provides that net profits from the operation of utilities formerly owned by the city of Anchorage shall be applied for the benefit of that area for a period of 5 years. Paragraph B calls for an interim utility commission to make a final report within 18 months as to the ultimate management and disposition of the utilities. Any action taken pursuant to the interim utilities commission must be consistent with the 5-year dedication of profits called for in paragraph A.
Now, what is the
And-
problem with,
Yeah,
this
why
is
does
being
that
clear.
need to be explained? I
Well-
know that you and Fred have had fun explaining it on TV, but
Oh, I hate that thing. I hate that with a passion. I said that tongue in cheek on TV.
It does bother me because there's some certain inference in the setting up of the commission that they're going to make a recommendation that maybe changes this
Yeah.
provision, and I
The
don't.
other,
I'm sorry, I
The
don't
other-
even understand what you just said now.
yeah,
Well, there's an
I
implication.
didn't.
There is an implication in the Utilities Profits Reserve section 1914 that if you say the commission shall be set up to make a final report within 18 months, and if that report said, well, the hell with the whole thing, we're not going to preserve the profits anymore, could be adopted. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that implication there. And
Okay.
and if that implication, I think, needs to be cleared so that that commission is going to make certain recommendations to the assembly as to the future management of it and operation of it, but it shall not change this provision allowing 5 years profits remaining to the city.
the only problem I have with that, first of all,
City service area.
yeah, it's 12 months. It's 12 months and not 18, but the problem I have,
Wait a minute,
No, it's
Fred, it's 18 because it
is
says
that the,
it shall be appointed within
90 days.
Well, it makes
90
a first report
90
within
days.
1 year, and then it makes a second or final report within 6 months after its first report is submitted.
But the thing is, bringing this up here, doesn't that flag the thing? It doesn't make it stand out.
It's a question that's been answered more than any other.
If we were to, Pat, this is I think it's something there. What about if we just put under that section, that very last sentence? Seems to me that's the issue, and
Yeah,
that seems to me that's pretty good.
And say none of the
And then say the other, which you agree to flag.
You're great at finalizing things.
Okay.
You could say it all in your final.
I always like to
Well,
indicate the
I think that would be sufficient.
I'd buy that to get rid of what's in
You
there.
know, we've been cryptic all along, we might as well stay cryptic.
I'll move for approval. Well, let's discuss it first.
All right, let's
Perhaps we should just have the one sentence before, without all the 18-month stuff that says, Section 19.14B calls for an interim commission to be appointed. And then say, any action taken pursuant to the interim commission's report must be consistent with the 5-year plan. Just give them one lead so they know what we're talking about.
Could James state my motion, please?
Shall try.
Good.
All right, take it easy and slow and state the motion that Arliss made. See you, Jane.
Stand and face the class.
Okay, Section 1914.
B.
Section 1914B calls for an interim utility commission to be appointed, period. Any action, in the last sentence, any action taken pursuant to the interim utility commission's report must be consistent with the 5-year dedication of profits called for in paragraph 2. Called for.
I guess that's, you actually started at line 4, right?
Right.
And everything after line 4 was included, right?
No,
Make a final is taken out.
there's nothing in.
Basically
Do
appointed.
you want to say why,
To report within 18 months.
the ultimate management disposition of utilities?
No.
Not,
All it reads is
Take out
that
to make a
paragraph
final. at the end of that.
19.14B calls
And the
for
whole next
interim.
line.
well, there's too
The whole
many
rest of that sentence you take out.
Okay, so the way it reads, Frank, is paragraph 19.14B calls for an interim utility commission to be appointed, period. Any action taken pursuant to the interim utility commission's report must be consistent with the 5-year dedication of profits called for in paragraph A of that section.
Okay.
Or could say section 1914A to be consistent
Okay.
with what you just said. Okay? So,
Second.
Rick will clean it up.
Moved and seconded by Jim Parsons. And the phrase will read, section 1914B calls for an interim utility commission to be appointed. Any action taken pursuant to the interim utility commission's report must be consistent with a 5-year dedication of profits called for in paragraph 1914A. Any further discussion, changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Did I hear you, Joe?
I'm in favor.
Okay. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Rick.
if anyone has suggestions, great. There's another item that stems from my conversation with Mary that I need to explain as best I can. I don't know quite what we're going to do about it.
Where is Mary?
No
Yeah,
other meetings.
she called, she's obviously involved in the question of Tomco, filling Tomco's vacancy. And there is a dispute, as you know, as to whether that vacancy will be filled by appointment or by election at this.
Well, let's go back and rewrite the charter, but what was it, Rick?
Okay. I'm not concerned specifically about this problem, but it leads into...
here? What's the problem? Let's be... We know that Mary has certain hang-ups,
Probably is really one.
The problem that we have...
you know,
When you call to the
6
head,
seconds.
stop.
When somebody called her name before.
I thought doctors were the bad guys these days.
Okay, let's go ahead, Rick.
We say that the person appointed to fill a vacancy of this sort will serve until the next regular election, at which time the successor will be elected. I think we left out, or should have put in, a phrase like, after the word election, a phrase like, held at least 45 days after the vacancy occurs, because arguably if a replacement were appointed for Tomco next week, this replacement would serve only until the next regular election, whether the September 9 election is considered a regular election or the November election.
Yes.
Something of that. Okay, well maybe that's...
Well,
All right.
how do we have it set now?
Well, what
30 days.
what's wrong with the way it's set now? I don't get what you mean here.
I'm trying to...
Wait a minute, I'm also confused about why we're discussing this issue, because Tomco's replacement in an election is taken care of under the present rules and regulations, and it's got nothing to do with the charter.
Okay, well that's the issue that Mary disputes.
We don't have a charter yet. He's
I
already...
know.
The way I understood what she was saying is, according to what Mary Coffey said in the paper tonight, it was her determination to make. There's 33 days left between now and the
attorney's
election. And the way the borough election requirements are now, if it's less than 45 days, they will not be put on this ballot.
Because of the advertising requirements of
They
the
will be
present ordinance,
appointed.
okay?
Right.
And that
And
situation...
Mary seemed to feel this was in conflict with the charter, and the charter provided if any election provisions that the borough operates under now are in conflict with the charter, her interpretation is the charter will prevail.
Bullshit, we haven't even voted on it.
That's not wrong. The first election, I did think the first election was to be held under the charter if there was a conflict with...
Well, that's right. That therein lies the problem. In other words, we say that the first election is held under the borough ordinances except where inconsistent with this charter.
Unless otherwise specified by... no, that's not...
But the general problem is, as I see it, and you guys help me out here because this is fuzzy. If you have a vacancy which occurs, say, 20 days before a regular election, under this language,
Where now, Rick, are you?
702, the guy who was appointed to fill that vacancy would only serve on the 20 days. And normally in this kind of provision, it says
the guy appointed, okay, the term is a different thing. Tomco, for instance, has got another whole year to the other girl, but he's still, the vacancy could occur within, say, 40 days of the election itself, which would be too soon under normal circumstances to have that vacancy filled at the election. Okay, let me try it this way. I'm proposing a section.
There's less than, Tomco resigns less than 30 days before the...
Suppose he resigns 35 days before a regular election.
Okay.
According to the borough setup now, that's still too late to get him on the ballot because it takes 45 days.
Okay.
And yet we say that there shall be a guy appointed within 30 days, and that guy shall serve only until the next regular election.
Like 5 days.
5 days. So we should have had a time gap there. And I hope to try to correct it with language like the following. This section provides that a person...
Well, wait a minute, is that so terribly serious? Can't, that by ordinance they can provide for the time for filing or something like that, can't they? And all you're saying is that are you saying that the heavy problem here is that somebody would be appointed for a 30-day term? What you're saying? That's so terrible? I mean, that's done lots of places.
No, that's not the problem.
I'm sorry.
As I understand it, it's still, well,
All right,
let's
Rick, are
take the
you
case.
saying, that let's say that you appointed somebody, it's more than 30 days, so you have to appoint him at 32 days.
Right,
Let's say 32 days.
right.
Okay. The filing period is 45 days, and they have to advertise it. So on. Okay. So if he were appointed at 32 days, normally, or we're saying he has to fill at the next regular election, right? But then we have the conflict in that the ordinance calls for the 45. So what does that mean to that guy? Does he stay in office for a full term then?
Well, it creates the problem that we have to try to clarify.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
I really don't understand. I
May I try
apologize
to-
because I'm tired, but can't they, for one thing, can he not be appointed to serve until the next regular election and appointed again if they're assuming there's that conflict? On the basis of this.
My understanding of what Mary's question was, is she feels that tonight the commission has to make a determination upon whether our 30 days in this section 702A prevails, and there is in fact a fourth vacancy to go on the ballot, or whether, because it's 33 days,
It does create that dilemma, see?
or whether the borough 45 days prevails, and so it's digital.
No, because that's not the conflict. The conflict isn't between, look, as I understand it, let's assume that we said it prevails, and that that section 702 is now applicable or operative. All it would mean is that the borough, and that's wrong in this context, but if that were so, that would mean that the school board would have the duty to fill Tomco's vacancy until the next regular election. But it wouldn't affect, it's not really a conflict with the
What
filing
it
and the
suggests,
election.
yeah, because it suggests that Tomco's successor, a regular successor, will be elected at the next regular election.
At which time?
And that's what we
the successor
don't
should be
want.
elected.
Yeah, and that means that Tomco's successor under this language should be elected on September 9, or assuming that were a regular election. And what we should have done, and it's my fault, we should have had a phrase, held at the next regular election, held at least 45 days after the vacancy occurs. What that would mean is that Tomco's appointed successor, would serve until the regular election of 76. And that essentially is what I propose to say in the comment.
How are you? What
do
do you propose to say?
I propose to say in the comment, something like the phrase
for the charter.
next regular election means the first regular election held a sufficient time after the vacancy occurs that the candidates for the vacant position may be placed on the ballot in accordance with prevailing election procedures or something of that sort.
And that's not what she wants.
Well, no, I don't know what she wants, but I'm
She wants us to say the opposite.
well, I suppose.
Next regular election means the election held immediately after the vacancy.
Under her theory, if the vacancy occurred 5 days before, you'd still have to hold up the whole presses and put these candidates on the ballot for that next
That's-
election. And that's what we're trying to clarify.
Okay, would you state that wording again?
Okay, it may be unduly obtuse, but I say,
I have a question,
Maybe
that
there's-
I don't want to hear your wording again. I have a question about buying, someone seems to think we're in right now. If the situation occurs where our rules are different than the borough's rules, for this election, you say our rules prevail. Now, I question it right after that.
Possible.
what do you mean? That's what we say. in the-
We say it in the transitional,
Okay, that's fine.
For instance, we say that there won't be runoffs for assemblymen, and the current borough rules say that
the
there will be
election,
runoffs
look
for
at
assemblymen.
1902B. The election of September 9 and any related runoff election shall be conducted in accordance with the election ordinances of the Greater Anchorage Area Borough in effect immediately prior to the election, except as otherwise provided in this charter.
For instance, the election ordinance of the borough might be an assembly plan, an enforcement plan
Right,
different from our plan.
right.
It might have a runoff for assemblymen, which it does, which we don't. You know, there's certain differences.
Okay.
Well,
Now, the situation that we've got right now is according to the borough, that seat is vacant and cannot be filled until the next regular election, which is scheduled for November, right?
Well, can it not be appointed?
Oh, it can be
It can
appointed.
be
It can be
appointed,
appointed,
but
but
the
it-
election is not held.
I wonder, Armis, you understand this.
Yeah, I
Why don't we, would you run through your hypothetical again? Because I want to make it clear that people understand the time crunches that occur. Would you do
Now
that?
say it very slowly, in little pieces.
No,
Take
if
a
I,
piece at a time.
okay, if I understand the problem,
Yeah.
we have stated in here, first of all, in 702, that they shall appoint a qualified person to fill the vacancy within 30 days. The person, if it's less than 30 days remaining in a term when a vacancy occurs, it shall not be filled. Okay, let's say that it is more than 30 days. It is 35 days. Therefore, by what we have in 702, it means 35 days before the regular election, they would have to appoint someone to fill the vacancy. Okay? However, the ordinance that sets forth the election requires a posting of the available seats up for election and filing and all, or just the notice of the election to be 45 days. So here we would have had the legal process of the notice started at a period prior to the appointment of this individual. We've stated here, that it would be filled by election at the next regular election, but there's no way it could be done if you followed that ordinance establishing the election.
Well, wait a minute. Isn't there this kind of reconciliation? I think when you have an apparent conflict, the general rule is that you try to reconcile that conflict as it really exists and try to come up with a consistent interpretation. Therefore, the consistent interpretation that I find is that the Assembly declares the election. It is the Assembly's function to actually put out the election resolution. And what... I mean,
It's a resolution.
it's a
to set
resolution for
election.
that there shall be an election on September 9. I mean, it was not our function to do that. We asked them to do that, and they did. Therefore, once they declare that a seat is up by their resolution, then that triggers the procedures of Article 19, Section 19B. You see what I'm saying? That this operates as to races, as to seats, which are embodied in the resolution setting up the election.
Mr. Chairman, I think we might be clearer if we took this thing 5 years into the future, because I think the problem exists with the language of 702 without regard to whether we're in transition or not.
Yeah. And there is a problem.
Yeah,
Well,
the problem,
Yeah.
if I may interpose.
No, I don't agree with that, because at that point, well, there could be a problem. But
Okay,
it is
what
always up.
happens in
it
our
is always-
scenario?
Okay, because it is always up to that unified government to amend that election ordinance as to 45 days or whatever, in order to comply with section 6.
but I'm saying that that's a very impractical and potentially impossible thing to do. If the vacancy occurs 20 days before the election and all the machinery is already in operation, and they appoint somebody the 5 days after it occurs, or 15 days before the election, under the literal meaning of this language, that person can only serve until the election on the 15th day. At which point,
What about less than 30 days remain in a term?
that's irrelevant. The term is different from the
All right.
term. I mean, Tomco's term lasts another year or two. We're just talking about the time up until the next election. And what I'm saying is,
Yeah, I'd like to get your wording if I can.
well, let's see if we can agree on the idea here, because what I'm doing kind of, I guess baldly, is saying that
Adding a definition.
what we mean, by the next regular election is the next one held more than 45 days, except I'm not going to use 45 days because that might change. A sufficient time in the future under the then prevailing ordinance to permit the guy to be on the ballot.
Why don't we do nothing and let that be done by amendment to the charter someday? Somebody thinks about it.
Well,
I mean,
all right.
instead of, because I think if we take an action, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud, I'm not firm on this, but that we would be, although we would feel that we were doing something down the road for the problem that might arise in 1985, it would be viewed as a decision for Tom Kelly or work for the ADEA or whatever. I mean, we're going to get ourselves into that immediate dispute.
According to what Jim said also, apparently by the end of the day, Mary Coffey had determined that fourth position would not appear on the ballot.
So she'd make that decision already.
I really have a danger of going into something where
If I may, I'd like to make a comment here. In 1902B, it states that shall be conducted in accordance with election ordinances of the Greater Anchorage Borough in effect immediately prior to the election, except as otherwise provided in this charter. Now, you can't make a law effective before the charter is adopted. The only thing that would affect, in my estimation, is any facets of the election that occur after the charter is adopted, namely like runoffs or something like that.
How about the apportionment? See, I know that you're in a real box logically, but we are treating the apportionment plan as though in some sense it's in effect, even though it's adopted,
Well, all right.
for instance.
The apportionment plan has to be.
Look,
all right.
Mary's made a determination with probably the advice of the attorney, which is consistent with the language that we're talking about. And if we adopt that language, then we're just irritating probably all the ABEA people. Getting it done.
Okay, I hadn't thought of the politics of it. I was thinking for posterity's sake, we can clarify.
It may be one of those cleanup things that charter.
Be done later.
We've said it's not a perfect document.
There are others hidden in there that'll surface in a while too, so it's not the only one. We'll find others as we
This
go
is the
along.
first time I recall in all my years in the community where this exact circumstance has happened.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it really is.
That's right. We said it wasn't perfect, and now we found a place. That's the error.
Our credibility is
The beauty of it. The beauty of it. That's it. That's the one.
You know, we've all brought so many personal examples and things we've seen, and he feels so clever, and then they have to pull it.
What's Mary doing, resolving this Tomco?
Well, Mary's going to come in tonight and ask us to interpret it,
We
that
actually-
there has to be an election, and that we're going to put that into our intent.
All right, we will talk to Mary. We have another issue. I agree with Joe.
Okay, then let's put rid of it. Then I have said my piece on that.
All right.
Okay, what's next, Coach?
If there are any other commissioner comments that need or you desire to have made, get them direct immediately.
Oh,
And meanwhile, we should be publishing these comments shortly.
oh, I was gonna say, one of the things, just as, I'm glad you mentioned it. This should not be something that is just done in the minutes. There ought to be a transmittal of this, I suggest, to both council at the borough and the city.
So it'll have some statute.
And maybe if there is some way of filing it with the courts or you know, so that
Whoever
everybody
was noticed with the original charter, I would think, almost
right.
shows the legal.
Because we want it to have been in the air when the charter's voted upon, so it gets
And
validity from
it
that.
should be released to the papers and other news media that might desire to publicize.
The determination is simply that the commission feels
These are commission
this is
comments.
up to Mary Crockett.
Oh, it's because we're, forget that.
No, not about her. I don't want to say it's a
No, no,
I just-
no,
We're not gonna say anything about that.
We've had
Okay, what do you
discussions.
want transmitted?
Speaks for
No, no,
itself.
we're comments.
The whole thing, one
The
thing.
whole thing, commissioner comments.
Well, I don't know, I just voted for it.
On what?
Well, right, the Tonka's name will not appear on this. That's very confusing. But,
Tonko's name was not supposed to appear. It's on Tonko's seat.
It's the Tonka's.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That he'll be,
Means they'll appoint somebody.
Appoint somebody at the next regular election,
whenever that may be.
whenever that may be.
November if the charter fails,
Charter
next year if it
fails,
passes.
or whatever. Well, maybe sooner than that. If the charter passes, it would be sooner than that.
They'll still have a,
Possibly because of the initiative ballot that Mary Crony has going on. The new assembly would have to meet that. And they might decide to succeed. There are special elections, regular elections, and general
No,
elections.
there's just special and regular elections.
Well, this is, I'm operating off Bob Crazy, I should have told you.
No, sir.
And, but Tonka's name, I like that. What I'd like to ask, I got my family.
Oh,
What I'd like to ask is that either you or Joe or someone give me a call about half hour at home. And tell me exactly what this is. Is Mary Crony expected here tonight?
Well, we're leaving shortly.
she called and indicated that she might be here and
Now, what is the point of contention? Is she arguing that the seat should appear on this ballot?
She just wondered if there was a conflict, and the commission decided there wasn't.
trying to get a little, she thought there was a conflict with the charter and the borough.
She's trying to get a little publicity.
Not enough for yank out of me.
Yeah, she's trying to get a little more out of you, that's all.
Oh, that's a politician's speaking.
Can you quote that tomorrow morning from yourself in the paper?
That was quoted saying she's got a full yank out of me already.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask, if we're done with
Jane?
this, can I ask a question? That I didn't get a chance to watch your show on Tuesday night, and the question has come up, and I can't really think of a good answer anymore about the taxation question on savings, and after we've given back the city their 5 years with the utilities profit, is the borough picking up the tab for that? And I was saying no, but I didn't have a good rationale for it, and I just wanted somebody would answer that for me.
Is the borough paying the tab for what?
no, they'll gain?
No.
At the end of the 5 years.
Profits from the utilities go back to the city, and the city, people who are residing outside the city want to know if they're still paying exorbitant rates to the city to keep them running, as a borough losing anything because of that
All
action.
right, no.
And I can say no, but I can't say
All
it real
right.
convincingly
Jane,
anymore because I'm
you could
confused.
say they will pay the rates that are determined by the Alaska Public Utilities Commission, commission of the state of Alaska, who regulate the rates on a fair and equitable basis. And I think you can say that, and if they're being overcharged now, they believe that it's APUC that's allowing that overcharge.
And there will
It's
be
not
no
the use
change.
of rate, it's the idea that the money goes back to the city to help them provide services within their own service area, and they want to know. They,
No, to repay, not to help them provide services within their own service area. That's getting to the use of the money. The purpose of it is not for that. The purpose is to reimburse the city for the investment they have made in the utility. That utility, now just to give the picture, that or any of the utilities that are earning money could be sold to a private enterprise. Water utility could, the phone and the electrical utilities certainly could be sold at a tremendous figure, far more than the 15 million.
The return of which would go back to the city.
Which would go back to the city, and they could sell it today if they so desired for the 3/5 full.
what will the city do with the $15 million?
That is something you have no knowledge of. They may pay debt off. They may use it for building a golden image on the city hall lawn or the service area. They might pave 4th Avenue with marble. They could do anything they want, but it's their money.
Might increase services, really what they're
They
doing
probably
now.
would
But
use
it
it.
should have no impact on the,
Probably would use it for plant expansion.
They wouldn't use it,
When
the
the
new
question
government would use it in
Came up
that area.
about, how will tax levies
Not
change?
the new government, but
The city's gonna use it.
Our
The city
response has been, they
service
probably
area.
won't change
Yeah.
too
Which
much
is part
other
of the
than
government.
inflation. And I remember the conversations in here about, or actually it was, yeah, it wasn't here about the bonded indebtedness of the city versus the bonded indebtedness of the borough, and I just need to be refreshed.
well, all right. Bonded indebtedness of the city is spread area-wide except for the 3 areas of water. Now, I take that back. Bonded indebtedness.
I'm talking about, I understand about the utilities, I'm talking about the status quo prior to unification is that, I can't remember the numbers. The city has X numbers of dollars of debt and the borough has X number of dollars of debts. Do you remember those numbers?
No, I don't think we ever had those exact figures.
The area that includes the debt, it will remain the debt of that area unless the assembly determines.
Folks, to spread it area-wide.
Of a greater area
if
in
it
which
is
it's
of an
spread.
impact,
Or
The exception
Greater-
is streets and,
it's
water
benefiting a greater area, it can be spread.
they may make that determination.
I found myself wandering.
And I find in my own head that I would expect them to spread the port.
You know, I think the
Area
thing
wide,
that's
I would-
important to say,
But
and
that
it's
won't
a
have any
simple
effect.
answer in a way, and I
Because
think
the port
that
is
we
paid its own
have attempted to bring everybody in at the status quo, and that's, I think, one of the reasons we handle the utilities. Frank talks of return of capital. I think that's valid too. To me, it's a question of status quo. We don't add new services without vote of the people affected. And I think if you get really hung up, state law does require this asset and liability, and I think it's pretty well spelled out in that section, and you know you can respond there. But we shouldn't have any radical changes in mill levies for people, unless they require more government, you know, more of the things they're getting now, or request and vote on additional sewer. And, you know, you can still throw it back to them if there's options to get there and get the public hearings and speak to the level of service that they'll receive.
Okay, thank you for your time on that one.
Okay. Well, are there any other comments to be brought up?
A meeting tomorrow.
We've covered the agenda. No further comments or discussions. Chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.